So, hi everyone. My name is Nitin, and I am Senior Manager Operations at RICS School of Built Environment. I'm also in charge of Alumni Association at the school for both the campuses in Noida and Mumbai. So, today I am here with the two of my alumni who have been graduating from the School of Built Environment in year 2015. That was a pilot batch, and both are from the course Real Estate and Urban Infrastructure. So to give you a background, we have Shashank Vashishtha with us, who is, who has done MBA in REUI from year 2015 and has more than 7 years of experience in the corporate world. He is currently working with Sotheby's International and is currently working as Global Real Estate Advisor. Samir, on the other hand, is from the same batch, same program, and has been working with quite a few brands, Cushman and Wakefield, Cautelia Finance, and others, and now is co-founder and CEO at CNB Alliance. I welcome both of you.
Thank you, Nitin.
Hi, Nitin. Thank you for inviting us.
Sure. So we are doing this session so that your experience and learning can be shared with the students and prospects so that they can benefit most out of it. So to start with Shashank, while you have been in the industry for more than 7 years now, before we reach out to identify what you are currently doing, I would like to understand your journey and how it has been pre RICS and post RICS.
Oh, great. Thank you, Nitin. Hello, everyone. So I'm Shashank Vashishtha, and I'm coming from, initially from the engineering background. I have done my engineering, computer science, and information technology, and passed out in 2011. I got the college placement as well, and within 6 months of my, first job, I understand like this is not something I am looking or I am very keen on working with. So I've decided to, switch my career into real estate. There's always an inclination towards real estate since starting before my engineering as well. And I've joined a Noida-based developer and started in a primary sales. So there, it's a success for me. I have worked there for 1.5 years, and then I realized like I need to learn more about industry, especially the real estate, and to enhance my skills. So I started exploring, the master's program, the specialized courses, which are more focused toward the real estate or the property market. So at that point of time, there was no major institution in India, particularly, and after exploring, I get to know about some universities overseas, and I have already like almost make up my mind to pursue my the masters from Manchester, United Kingdom. But then one of my mentor told me about the strategic partnership of RICS with the Amity University, and the next day I have applied for this course, and I was the first one who enrolled and selected for RICS School of Built Environment as a kind of pilot student. And that was the, I can say, like the best decision I have made at that time back in 2013. So I started, studying this course, and this course is designed and I can say like structured in such a manner like this is more a demand driven from the industry. And the whole journey of 2 years, it was like a complete packed with all materials specific to real estate, be it a broking, be it a development, understanding the financing of real estate. So this is how I enhanced my skills during that 2 years tenure. So after the first year, I luckily got selected for the internship in Cushman and Wakefield as an advisory domain. So I have joined the team and I have completed my 2 months summer internship with Cushman and Wakefield, and the location was Gurgaon. So after completion and on the basis of my performance, I was lucky enough to secure a job with the same organization, and I was again, lucky enough to the first student of RICS SBE to get the placement, even before the placement drive started. So I got the pre-placement offer, and it was a very good profile with a good package, and there was no doubt, uh, not accepting that offer. So I have taken that offer, and I started, after finishing my masters, I joined Cushman and Wakefield as a part of their advisory team. My first location was Bangalore, and there, obviously, it's a new market for me. I have born and brought up in Delhi NCR, and it was altogether a different, market, going to southern part of the country. But it was a very good learning for me to understand, the market statistics over there. The market, the developers are totally different. The way of working is not that different. I mean, the fundamentals are the same, but the mode of operandi, the mindset of the developers, the mindset of the, the clients, their demographics. So it was a good exposure. So during my tenure in Cushman & Wakefield, I have learned about, different micro markets of India. I can say different geographies of India. Be it a south, I have worked in Chennai, Hyderabad, Bengaluru. In west, like Mumbai, Pune, Nasik. In north, I have worked almost all major states, be it Delhi, Jammu, Punjab, Rajasthan, a bit of West Bengal as well, especially the Kolkata and some of the northeast state. So in valuation and consulting, your job is, interacting with all these developers, and it gives you a great exposure, I can say, to understand like how the project financing has been done, and what is the, the value or the highest and best use of a particular land parcel. So this, during my Cushman & Wakefield, it was a holistic development for myself, I can say. It was 2.5 year. I have worked with Cushman & Wakefield in mid of 2000, or in the end of 2017, 2018, sorry. So 2018, I think, 2017, and I have decided to switch my career to residential real estate. The reason why I, come to residential real estate is because there's a lack of organized player in this industry. If you talk about the commercial, industrial, there are n number of players. There are IPCs who are working particularly in the commercial real estate segment. But on the other hand, if you talk about the residential, there's always a gap. It's highly unorganized. I can say like niche of market, especially the luxury, if I talk about. So that's how I decided to switch my career to residential real estate. Right now, I am working as a global real estate. It's been 3 years. I am working with Sotheby's International Realty, and this is one of the oldest and the biggest brokerage company, if I talk about, especially on the residential market. And there's no competitor globally. We have a global presence of 1,000 offices worldwide, presence in 70 countries. And currently, I manage, portfolios for different corporate clients, HNI, celebrities. So this is more specific to the luxury residential segment, their residential need. And it's not only in India, we sell real estate, especially the residential property, all over the world. So we do have clients in our bucket buying and selling overseas or in India, or vice versa. So this is what is, my journey so far, but it was a great learning, and I keep learning. So thank you.
That's a kind of interesting story there, and I see that you have been quite first in every step of yours while you are interacting and in running in parallel with RICS. So Samir, how has the journey been in your case?
So thank you, Nitin, once again for inviting me. And it is also always proud moment to be associated with RICS. And I was BTech civil engineer. Then I went to ICICI Bank. That was my first job. And my job was in mortgage valuation group, where we need to find out the risk associated with the property. So I was not aware, being a civil engineer, real estate was new to me. And after spending 14, 16 months at ICICI Bank, all of my seniors over there were MRICS. So I inquired about this school coming up in Noida and providing global level education, and I enrolled for it. So RICS was an immense learning for me, to be very frank. And every aspect of real estate, any asset, be it commercial, residential, industrial, hospitality, I got exposure of every part of it. And there were faculties of different domain. I learned about real estate financing, sales and marketing part of it, and the life cycle of the project. It was very insightful at RICS. And fortunately, I got placed in one of the largest IPCs, Cushman and Wakefield. And Cushman and Wakefield was also a good learning experience for me because of the, first of all, global exposure over there. And me and Shashank were in the same team. He was a part of valuation team later, and I was a part of consulting team. So our job was to advise the largest banks, the real estate developers, national real estate developers, the international funds which were planning to come into India on project feasibility, rental benchmarking, etc. So I spent about almost 2 years in Cushman and Wakefield, and after Cushman and Wakefield, I joined a fund which was backed by Washington Pension Board. So we have invested about 800 crores in different markets of NCR, and mostly focused on the affordable segment sector. So there I was in the risk evaluation team. After learning the financial side of business, the consulting side of business, and the academic background which RICS gave me, I ventured with my own, and I with my partner created company called CNB Alliance. We are currently focused into warehousing field because it is a sunshine sector right now in real estate, and we provide complete advisory throughout the project life cycle, be it land procurement, construction, 3PL consulting and advisory, uh, leasing is our forte, and project exit option. If a developer wants to exit at certain cap rate, we provide them consulting on that vertical. So it's a pretty new venture. It's been 2 years since the launch of the company, and we have done pretty good last year. And so that's it, Nitin. That's my profile.
Very inspiring, though. Actually,
Yeah.
from being an employee to an employer now, it's again a very inspiring story. And we'll come back to you again on this part. So coming back to you, Shashank. Now you have been into multiple roles. You said you were in the consulting. You have been advisor. You have been into valuation. Now currently you are into sales and broking part of in the luxury residential segment. So what made you choose your career in this particular field?
So, Nitin, as I mentioned, during my tenure in Cushman and Wakefield, I got a very good exposure working. I was very fortunate to working with all leading developers. If you name whole top 10 developers in India, I was fortunate to working with them. Apart from that, we got a chance to working like the developers, like a couple of Chinese developers who were trying to enter into the residential market of in India as my last assignment I have done in Cushman. So there we understand the funding, the financial, feasibility, the liability, and we have done a number of feasibility studies, highest and best use at that point of time. We have done a number of valuations to secure funding. The developers are seeking funding. So there, when I was working there, like for 2 years of my, I can say like during my experience, so I realized like there's a huge gap in the residential market. And though the whole real estate sector, if you compare with other countries, it's not that organized. But if you talk about the particular residential, it's all handled or managed by these local street brokers. And if you especially talk about the niche segment, the niche market, where we are talking about properties about 20 cr and it can vary up to 1000 cr, so there's hardly any player. Hardly any organized players. So I have done my research, and then I get to know about this company. He's working globally. And if you talk about the most expensive home sold as of date in this world is done by this company, Sotheby's. So I have decided to started my journey with Sotheby's At that time, the company was hardly 2 years. They have their presence in India with a team size of 5 people. But it was a bold decision for me to move, from a MNC, well-established company like IPC in India, one of the best IPC, Cushman, and altogether a complete different, I can say, domain. It's not my experience. But when I started real estate, for me, real estate is all about, buying and selling of properties. That's how I started, my experience started in selling properties, which is in a primary, a much more smaller size. But I knew, this is not something where I want to see myself to grow in an IPC. So that's why I have decided to come to the broking side. So it was a good decision. It's been 3 years almost I have completed, and individually, apart from the company has sold, multiple thousands of crores of property, especially in India and overseas. I myself managing a portfolio of hundreds of crores for different individuals, and successfully, done transactions of more than 300 crores in last 3 years, which is a huge number for an individual. And this is what I was looking, this is what I dreamt for 7 or 8 years back before starting my journey, because I was always curious, like, who lives in Lutyens? That was a kind of, it was a zeal from inside. Who owns these bungalows? Who are building these IT parks? So that's how I started my career and journey. And for me, real estate is all about, as I mentioned, it's, buying and selling. So this is where I am, and I'm pursuing my dreams. Yeah.
Right. So your interest, your research, your, the demand in the market, everything, combined, helped you take that call. Yeah. So
Absolutely
good.
correct.
Thank you. So Samir, while we talked about, you have been an employee in Cushman, and then you switched from being an employer, and now you have your own firm. You are a CEO there. What this is again which is a big shift, and again it needs a lot of preparation, a lot of in foresight to how things will come up. And again, as you are working in a sunshine sector, what made you give that switch from being an employee to an employer?
So Nathan, it was always in the back of my mind to become an entrepreneur since my joining at Cushman and Wakefield. But I was looking at a platform where I can learn from the companies in which I have worked with and apply those principles at my own company. So I was fortunate enough to get into Cushman and Wakefield and learn how professionally and how intellectually they manage things. So, and after Cushman and Wakefield, at Kautilya, I learned about the financing side of business, and they moved me from the residential thing to the warehousing thing, which they were planning to come in. And at warehousing, I saw there is lot of demand in leasing, and few IPCs like CBRE, Cushman, and JLL are working on it, but there are not many competitors in that particular market, and the market was growing enormously post GST. So me and my partner was in Dun and Bradstreet credit rating agency, and he had all those clients which they used to do credit rating. So we have decided to merge our skills and let's give it a try. It was very challenging initially because the first 6 months we had no deals. But after we hit the first deal, and it was one of the biggest deals in NCR, which we did at Bilaspur Taudu Road. It was 1.5 lakh square feet of leasing, which we did for one of the largest 3PL companies in the world. So that was the inception moment. Since then, we never looked back. We are we are a team of 7 individuals, and we are a small team. But after leasing, we are coming into the construction and consulting side of business also. Like I have mentioned it earlier, it was challenging. It is always, entrepreneurship is always challenging because you yourself are responsible for everyone, and you do not have any superior who can say कि boss मैं देख लूंगा. So it is very challenging,
Agree.
but exciting also. But sure.
Sure, sure. So as you said, you are 7 members team, and the Sotheby's, as Shashank mentioned, they were, when they came in India, they were 5. So I see that you are on the same verge, and you I wish that you grow at the same level, and sky is the limit in that case. So while you mentioned that you are in that warehousing sector, so would you also like to talk about the future and insights, how you see the sector growing?
So, so I can, with my understanding, I can take a calculative guess for this sector. So I have decided. So the future can be divided into three parts. One is short term, second is medium term, and third is long term. The short term, like we are speaking with many of the developers, the occupiers are few of the occupiers are deferring rentals, and there has been about say 5 to 10% decline in rentals. This is short term period is for 0 to 1 year. So we have seen declining rentals at Bilaspur Taudu Road, which is near Manesar in Gurgaon. So the rentals when the pandemic, before the pandemic, it was about, let's say for grade A warehousing, 20 rupees per square feet. Now the developers are quoting 18 rupees per square feet. So we have seen a decline in rentals. In the medium term, what will happen? The e-commerce side and the grocery business gonna grow further, because the real estate mall developers, real estate retail will take little larger time in coming back to the normal phase, because people are little worried. So the footfalls which we used to see in malls in earlier stages will be less. So people will shift from the push strategy, which they used to buy from retail mall, will shift to pull strategy, in which they'll order through e-commerce. So e-commerce and the groceries will see the increase in demand, like we have seen Big Basket and Grofers are seeing their revenues increasing substantially. But the main thing, on the one hand, e-commerce and groceries will grow, but the auto sector will see little decline in the medium term. And the auto sector contributes about 10 to 15% of warehousing space. People will buy their essential things first before buying a car. So the decline in the auto sector will be cope up by the increase in e-commerce and the essential thing. In the long term, which is 2 to 4 years of the time frame, what will happen? What I see, what I'm hearing in news, that since the companies, the manufacturing companies are shifting from China to India. And in 1980, India missed the bus to become a global manufacturing hub. And the pie was taken by China, Indonesia, South Korea, and these countries. So I am seeing news, and Nitin Gadkari sir also told that the companies are wishing to come to India. So manufacturing create lot of warehousing demand, and which in future may be good for the sector. And I see in the long term, sector will grow at a sustainable rate.
Certainly, and that's again which is very high on the news, that develop the manufacturers would like to move from China to India. And as we are looking at easing of the lockdown, I'm sure that the rates for rentals will start coming up. So let's see how the demands comes up. And again, essential services are the basic needs which are required by everyone. So
Absolutely.
look, yeah. So coming back to Shashank, so you are into the luxury real estate sector, sorry, luxury residential. So could you also talk about the future and insights about the sector, how this looks in coming days?
So yes, residential. I mean, as we all know, I mean, again, if I say, I'm not be wrong if I'll say like it's an essential service for every individual. I mean, one thing which we have learned from this lockdown, from the impact, this pandemic, is home is the best and the safest place on this planet, right? So as a realtor, I always advise, I mean, I'm keep on interacting with my clients, and this is a feedback from my clients also. Like this is, something what we invested in our lifetime to spend some good and cherish some good memories at this time during the lockdown when there's nothing is working. So if I talk about the residential sector as a future, I can say like where it goes. So definitely for the short term, it will get impacted, as we all are reading, hearing, because this is something residential or estate sector is which get impacted among all the industries. The reason, because this is the second largest employment, I can say, like providing industry in our country after agriculture, so construction and real estate. So it all depends on the paying capacity of the consumer or the end user. So first, everyone after this lockdown will focus on their businesses, on their lifestyle instead of buying a house. But definitely it will impact if we see from like for a quarter or another 2 3 quarters. By end of 2020, definitely we are expecting a rebound, in this sector. So if I talk about the luxury segment, so luxury is a very niche market which is capturing, a top 2% of the market. So for them, definitely there will be an impact in terms of pricing, in terms of supply, in terms of demand. But in comparison to affordable, definitely it will not get impacted. Like affordable segment, that's the I'm talking about, the primary real estate, residential real estate, where we have already seen in last 3 to 4 years it's not doing great. There's a piled up inventory, especially in the northern part of India and the west. So if you talk about south, it's still more or like stabilized in terms of absorption. What we have seen in last 3 to 4 years, there's a very slow absorption rate, especially in NCR. So the developers who are ready with their inventory, as are Nitin Gadkari mentioned last week. So they should focus more on selling and generate some cash flows out of it. So the basic, I can say, like the for the short term, the forecast is definitely there will be a liquidity crunch, a working capital crisis for all the developers. So the best case scenario is to sell the inventory without making much profit out of it. So the properties which are under construction, especially again the affordable segment, one should be more realistic, in terms of pricing. So on the other hand, the government is taking good steps. Like they have recently, cut down the repo rates. That will definitely lower in the interest rates, and that will again a positive factor for a consumer and the end user to buy a property, which is a ready property. So what I can see, 1 year or year and a half down the line, definitely there will be absorption for end users. This is not the market at this point of time for the investor, because investor has to invest and make some money. But definitely for a buyer or end user, this is the right time. What we have seen in last 1.5 year, the price has already corrected, and it is more or like stabilized. But after this COVID, what I am expecting in especially the luxury segment, definitely there will be a further correction for 5 to 10%, uh, and there will be a pain in the market. But on the other hand, we are very optimistic also, because now we have realized there's always a need of a home for any individual's life to spend a good time with their family and their enjoy. So definitely. So this is
Well,
my
yes,
take on
that
residential.
yeah, this is something which has been understood while being in lockdown for more than 40 days. People have realized
Mm-hmm.
that there is a need of maybe probably a study corner, or a work from home corner, or
Absolutely.
maybe a
Mm.
play zone for kids. So they have realized the need of a bigger space. So someone who has a capacity would want to switch on to a greater amount of square foot area in terms of
Absolutely.
space. So definitely we will see that kind of growth on the years to come. So now, while we are targeting our the audience would be the student of real built environment, school of built environment, and people who would want to create their career in real estate and construction field. So I would like to ask both of you on your advice on what they should try and build up in terms of skills while they are learning, or maybe stuck at their homes while they are studying or learning. It could be so specifically, I'll talk about, say Shashank, you can talk about skill set that our graduates, SB graduates, could work upon before they hit the market, and then try and identify their career opportunities.
So as per my experience, and I have also, interviewed couple of the fresh hiring during my present role. So what we actually look from from a candidate is there has to be, the fundamentals has to be clear, like the basic terminologies, how the market is, going, what are the basic uh, terms like FAR, development norms, what are the building bylaws. I'm talking more perspective to as a developer or a kind of residential professional. So there has to be clear on the basic fundamentals, and I'm sure during my I can say like experience from RICS, the course is designed very well. There's a immense amount of knowledge I have gained from that. I don't know anything about real estate before getting enrolled in this course, and when I passed out, I was clear about there are different verticals. It's not about buying and selling, it's about financing also. There is warehousing also. There are different asset classes: industrial, residential, retail, commercial. So my advice with the to all the RICS SBE candidates is to focus more what they are trying to teach you in your curriculum, especially each subject they have designed in as a kind of a feedback from the industry. The course is totally and truly industry-led course, and we are the going to be the like running this industries from now to 10-year, 20-year, or 30-year down the line. So my advice is focus on your studies, focus on your subject. The course is there, and main focus just to understand and grab more market knowledge as much as much as you can during this lockdown. Also, everyone has a time to do some self development, enhance your skills in terms of technology using all these I can say like virtual meeting platforms. So if you see, this is also giving another opportunity, like all deceptions, give you another opportunity. Now people are selling or buying real estate over your phone or your, just a computer. So this is again giving a new horizon for digital marketing, the digital, impact on the real estate market. So one should also focus on that and keep yourself updated. I mean, this is what the basic is for me, and I can advise the same to all my like all the candidates of RICS SB. Yes.
Sure, certainly, and I'm with you, on this part wherein the graduates of today will be the leaders of tomorrow, and at this particular time when they have all the time in the world to build on their skills, the technology and knowledge of the industry will be the key elements that they should work on. Samir, now coming back to you, and probably that would be the last question of the session. I would like to check with you on the skills people would should be working on to build, and especially the people who are architects or civil engineers who would want to build their career in construction and real estate. What is the advice that you will give them as apart from the
So
skills?
sure, sure. Nitin. So I was also a engineer before venturing into real estate field. And believe me, India is pretty much underbuilt. So we have lot of requirement of professionals in the real estate industry and the construction industry. So my suggestion to the people who are just completed their civil engineering or architecture, if you want to pursue a course on real estate, choose a specialized school like we have done it in an RICS, because practical training is the utmost need of an hour right now. Uh, at RICS, we got exposure from the leaders of the industry itself. So it was not a big transition from the college to the industry. It was easier for us because we had our hands dirty into the practical experience, which is pretty much required. Second, what RICS gave me is a global exposure. What is happening in different uh, part of country world in terms of real estate? What Hong Kong is doing, what New York is doing, what China has developed significantly, and what Dubai is doing. So that exposure I got. And thirdly, I see a real estate in real estate networking is very important. We at RICS have a network of many alumni working in various companies. So if I need some information regarding what is happening, because real estate as a sector is very translucent, so we required our colleagues, our connections to give us the understanding market update. So I can call Shank or I can call any other my colleague at RICS. If I want to learn something about the residential luxury sector, I can call Shashank. So a networking platform which RICS gave is also important. And fourth is the membership which MRICS provides. So the last about a month ago, I have attended a leadership forum of RICS. I was a participant in that, and the panelists were the top from the industry. So I got some insights on what is happening around me in real estate. So that is the most important part at RICS. So I request all those who are uh, graduating from the civil engineering and architectural background to see the curriculum what are being designed at specialized schools, and then take a decision regarding. So that's it, Nathan. That the advice which I have followed, I can give this much.
Sure, that was very insightful. And for our audience, I would like to say that Samir here is a member of RICS. He's a MRICS, and Shashank is a APC candidate. So while Samir rightly said that any individual who is looking to build a career and is focusing on a higher education should look at the curriculum, the industry exposure, the details of the scope, or the exposure in the industry that they are getting, and more of that, you are getting a global passport in terms of if you are enrolling with RICS. What are the merits apart from the degrees and the knowledge that you're getting is a membership of RICS, which is quite easy compared to other individuals who are coming from the industry. So that's a kind of a merit that you get while you are with RICS. And again, you emphasized on the importance of network, which is essentially a need of the hour, because while this is a big industry and you need to be on your toes for all the knowledge on various different sectors, so your network can help you in all those areas. And again, being an entrepreneur, you have all the support from the network of the alumni that you can get to grow up the ladder in your organization. Thank you very much for that information. Shashank, you were saying something.
Yeah, so as Samir mentioned, I mean, definitely this is like this particularly industry, real estate, is all about networking. So I don't see any other organization or forum who are providing that kind of platform apart from that RICS. We have a huge number of MRICS in our, in our industry. And if you talk about any senior leader, either they are FRICS and MRICS. The reason why they are, associated with this organization, because it's a because of their proven track record, and these are the professionals, the I can say like the highest standard professionals in the industry, and they do transactions, they dealt in the industry with all full of ethics, professionalism, and as a global standards. What globally RICS is doing in India. So this is the I can say like advice to all the people out there who are studying in RICS or who are planning to do uh, a higher studies specialized I can say like course in real estate, to definitely go and explore the curriculum and the industry. And also the RICS SBE, now we have I think two campuses in India, Mumbai as well as in Delhi. So it gives more opportunities to people who are based out of West or South, who can explore opportunities in Mumbai, or the people who are in northern part of the country, they can join the RICS Noida campus. So it's as Nitin you mentioned, this is a global passport. Definitely, the RICS is building and producing a world-class real estate professionals every year. And now, as a part of alumni network, definitely I have a reach of more than 1,000, students. And apart from that, that 1,000 multiplies to 10,000 and lakhs of professional globally. It's not only in India. We have our alumni members who are working in Canada, US, London, Dubai, Middle East, especially. So I like as an advice to all the students who are going to pass out in this semester, or studying in RICS, to be focused, to gain some knowledge, get some kind of experience in a good organization, just to enhance your skills 3 to 5 years, instead of thinking about package what you are drawing. So that's again I can say like advice in initial stage. One should try to learn as much as you can, and then after 3 4 years you will get a good exposure about the industries, and you can like you will be able to identify your niche, like Samir has done, or I have decided to switch the career. So if you think you can go, or you can pursue your career in particular domain, you can definitely excel because of the kind of background you are carrying, or kind of experience you are carrying, uh, like a professional in the real estate industry.
Sure, that was very very well said, and that's a kind of suggestion for people, that if you join the industry, you should focus on building the skills, getting the knowledge, and then try and find your niche area and then grow in that particular sector. Do not look for the compensation to start with. And while we are when we go out in on the workspaces after the lockdown, we are not to look at the compensation anymore, because it should not remain the same as it was before
Absolutely.
the lockdown. So things are really changing. I would like to thank both of you for your time and all the insights and knowledge that you shared with our audience. And I hope people will benefit out of the experiences that you shared with us. Thank you very much.
Thank you,
Definitely.
Nitin.
Thank you,
Thank
Nitin.
you,
Thank you.
Shashank.
Yeah, so much for inviting us to this forum. Yeah.